Muhammad Ali. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, being given a massive opportunity. I'm going to create history on the 4th of October, becoming the first Type 1 diabetic champion in the whole world. So Uncle Pat promised me when we sat down, a few years ago when we signed together, made a strategy, and he's a man of his word. But now we're here. I've got to do the goods now on the 4th of October.
Must be quite nice, the bond that you and Pat have got and the trust that you put in him really as your manager to kind of get you the promises and deliver the goods really.
Honestly, yeah, I want to give a massive big up to Uncle Pat as well. And you're wondering why am I calling him Uncle? Out of respect in our culture, if you respect someone, you call them Uncle. He's not my biological uncle, but I call him out of respect and love because he's a man of his word. And he sat me down like a son and he said, right, we'll do X, Y and Z. And this is how we're going to get you to the end goal. And this is another step on the ladder. So it's this isn't the end goal. This is, the step on the ladder where we're heading towards. And all I can say, I wish I met him earlier.
Speaking of the ladder, let's go right back down to the bottom of the ladder. How did you first get into boxing?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was about 4, going on to 5. And the nurse, Jo, she spoke to my mother and father and said, look, get him involved in sport. And I'm highly competitive, so my dad got me into football, and when we'd lose, we'd blame other players, and I'm very competitive. I'd never blame myself, and I was like, Dad, I want to leave football, we're always losing, and I was half decent at football. So then from football, my dad put me into karate, and he wasn't bothered about me becoming a champion or a household name. And I've got to say, to all parents, get your kids involved in sport. Not to become a champion, but to learn life skills, respecting your elders, hygiene, respecting your friends around you, being punctual. There's many different skills you learn from sport, as well as developing sporting skills. There's life skills outside of sporting skills you learn within attending a football club, boxing club, cricket club, whatever, the kids feel happy, get your kids involved. Honestly, I'd say all parents, get your children involved in sport. You stay in a healthy state as well.
Mentioned it when we've had chats in the past off camera, but...
Hey, sorry, Elena. So how I got into boxing was, I was a bit naughty at school, so my mum's, I'd always nag her, look, Mum, take me to the boxing gym, and my dad said, no, look, Muhammad Ali suffered from Parkinson's, you're already type 1 diabetic, I don't want you suffering from any other illnesses. And I was like, but it's like me walking out in the road, am I going to get knocked over by a car? What are the chances? And that's how it is with such illness as Parkinson's, out of boxing. And my dad, it was just a no. So I said to my mum, look, I'll be good at school. And she's like, get your teacher to ring your dad and give a good report, and when your dad's at work, I'll take you to the boxing gym. So my mum would take me up to the boxing gym, and after the second week, the boxing coach at Rochdale Boxing Club said, I'd like to speak to your father. And I was itching my head, like, why do you want to speak to my father? He said, just want to speak about your boxing. So I've gone outside and on the edge, and said, Mum, coach wants to speak to Dad. And she's itching her head, like, you know what, I'll make something up. The teachers have been ringing my dad, so my mum said to me, Dad, look, the teachers have been informing you that he's been good at school, and I've been taking him to the boxing gym. And he's like, what? He's got diabetes, why are you risking his life? And she's like, it's well balanced, his sugar levels, he's watching what he's eating. And my dad came up to see Stephen, the head coach at Hamer, and he said, look, he's good enough to get a boxing amateur licence, and then England Boxing Board sadly declined my licence, to become an amateur boxer. And then I went back to football, and I was heartbroken. It was like discrimination. The doctors have signed, my consultants have signed me off saying he's healthy, he's fit, and the Boxing Board just said no. And that was that. When I was 12, 13, watched Ricky, at the time it was Naz, we'd all the, because of Naz, me and my brother got a leathering off my mum and dad, because it used to be Sky Box Office, and we'll click select, remember, on the pay-per-view, and we'd order his fights, and a bill would come through the doors, and they'd be like, where's his bill come from? Like, oh, we ordered a fight. And honestly, Mum would get the slipper out and filled me and my brother in, and then Ricky Hatton came through, and Amir Khan, when he was a massive inspiration, you know, like he's a hero to me, you know, fellow British Pakistani, you know, from Bolton. I boxed at the same gym as him, you know, Bury Amateur Boxing Club. We had the same amateur coach, and that's it. When I was 17, I got my licence at Bury Amateur Boxing Club, and that's where it kicked off for me.
Talk us through a little bit of your amateur career and your path down amateur level.
Yes, so me, Zelf and Lyndon were like the same age, and you know, like I'm a boxing student. I like watching, you know, old fighters, and I used to watch Uncle Pat, and see him at the shows. I'd go over, Uncle Pat, give me some advice. You know, always nagging him for advice, and he'd speak to us, you know, like to me and my brother, and give us advice, and even the other lads. And you know, like he's Manchester boxing hero, not just Manchester, but you know, worldwide. He's boxed for world titles, and get advice off him, and we'd be boxing on the same shows. And I had 34, won 29, won 2 box cups, and the Haringey Box Cup, Celtic Box Cup. I won the university championships, and you know, did decent, you know, in the amateur boxing, and then turned pro in 2015. Got my license declined again for being type 1. So type 1 diabetes has been a halt for me, but I believe diabetes and boxing work together. Look, boxing's a weight categorised sport, and you've got to watch what you know, what calories you're consuming, what foods you're eating, and you know, if you're eating healthy, you stay within your weight category, you know, around your weight. And if you're consuming bad foods, you know, you go out of your weight category, and your sugar levels are all over the place. So I'm a big believer diabetes and boxing are made for one another. You're
a big believer, a big talker of that on social media as well, pushing out positivity about kids getting into it, but also your journey with it as well. How has that kind of helped you in the program? Discipline with diabetes and making that switch from amateur to pro after that couple of year battle, getting your license. What was that first fight like?
Oh, honestly, it was like a whirlwind. I had Sky Sports. Uncle Pat was there. Do you know, he knows about the journey from the get-go. He knows me from, like, do you know, before all, do you know, my coaches who I've trained with. Uncle Pat I've known, do you know, since a young kid. And I know Uncle Pat away from boxing as well. We've got mutual friends that my uncles are friends with Uncle Pat as well. And, you know, I've forgotten what the question was.
Just touching on the first couple of fights as pro.
Oh yeah, so it's been, honestly, the fights just went like a flash. I had Sky Sports at the first fight, you know, all of Rochdale come out to support me. They're coming out to support me on the 4th of October. And, you know, I've broken barriers, you know, I've opened doors for other type 1s, you know, to get a license. They're always contacting me, asking for tips. And, you know, I've shown that, you know, if you live with an underlying health condition, it don't matter if you're diabetic, any other, you know, illness, or if you want to call it a controllable condition, you know, don't make excuses, you know, seek help, seek advice, and goals are achievable. You know, there's hurdles come in the way. It's how you overcome the hurdle. There's many ways of overcoming a hurdle. So guys, you know, if you've got any goals you want to achieve and you've got hurdles in the way, seek help, seek advice, and your goals are achievable. I'm going to show this on the 4th of October, become the first Type 1 diabetic boxing champion, and you know, the first WBC Asia title, you know, to be boxed in the UK, and I'm going to win that title on the 4th.
Mention it, and now let's go back up that ladder. Your last fight, got a stoppage. How did that feel?
Felt amazing. You know, I felt very good. Uncle Pat was sat ringside, Humphrey, you know, I was getting instructions from every corner, and it was absolutely amazing. I think Manchester got behind me that night, and on the 4th, Manchester, let's go again.
Touching on the 4th, how are you preparing for that fight? Not just physically, but mentally. First title, it's a lot of pressure, different kind of maybe training camps that you've seen before. First title issue. Yeah. A lot more at stake really for this for yourself. Yeah, massive stake. You know, the biggest hurdle for me, the biggest fight for me was getting the license, and now whatever's coming in my way is just you know, bonus I've got to, you know, overcome, and I'm going to create history again, like I said, on the 4th of October. You know, training, you know, the intensity is stepping up, and one day at a time we're taking it. What do you make your opponent for October the 4th?
Oh, he's an amazing opponent, you know, very, very good fighter, you know, fellow South Asian, and you know, we'll be having a great boxing match on the 4th of October.
I know you're a big one on visualising, but how do you visualise winning that title and getting that belt put around your waist with your family all behind you? So you've done really well already selling tickets. We're 5.5 weeks out now. So how would that feel for you to get a belt put around your waist on October the 4th? I'm
going to get that belt. Do you know that belt is, do you know, I'm going to win it on the 4th of October, and I'm going to, do you know what, you know, my family, everybody, you know, I love them to bits, they get behind me. But the real thing for me is, do you know, as a type 1 diabetic, I was denied of my license, do you know, saying I'm at risk. Yeah, it's boxing, I understand that. Do you know, there's a risk being outside. Do you know, I'm driving back home from here, do you know, from a haircut. So, do you know, I'm at risk there. I'm going to be going over the motorway. I'm at risk, but I want to show, do you know, the world, do you know, if you're suffering from anything, guys, please don't give up. I knocked on Uncle Pat's door. I said, look, Uncle, I want to become a champion, and can you help me? And he was straight up with me. He said, look, I don't usually sign, you know, kids who have had, you know, X amount of fights. You know, you've had a lot of fights, you know, but I've known you as a kid, and, you know, if you're true to whatever I tell you and follow the steps, we can do this. Now we're here, and it's all in my hands now, you know, to go on and achieve that goal now. And I'm going to do it. 100%, I'm going to do it.
You've got a great team around you, your coach is here.
Oh, amazing.
Your stable mate now, you said maybe spoke to him, Kane, good sparring, you're getting in with him. You've got Pat, manager of the year now, he's guiding you as well. And you've got, I know you've got your team on fight night, you've got your doctor in the corner, make sure your sugar levels are okay. That team's been with you for a while.
From day dot. Yeah, from day dot. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to the end together. Do you know, anyone who's true to me, it'd be wrong for me not to take them with me. It'd be absolutely wrong. And the team I've got now, we're going to the end together.
And speaking of team and people sticking with you, I noticed there you've got a really nice sponsor t-shirt on.
Yeah, massive.
Yourself, your logo on the back, but at the front there you've got sponsors. How important are them at a time like this when you're training?
Do you know, without these guys, my journey's not possible. Do you know, on the small hall shows, you've got to sell tickets, and do you know, Rochdale gets behind me. Do you know, I want to give a big shout out to all my sponsors. So I'm an ambassador for Diabetes UK, for Abbott's Global. Do you know, so if you see people with the sensor on their arms, do you know, I'm an ambassador for the company Abbott's Global. So I wear the Freestyle Libre sensor to monitor my sugar levels in between rounds, in training, you know, on my daily basis. And without that, I can't, you know, live, because I won't know where my sugar levels are. And it's so important looking after my health. And that's what I'm doing. You know, massive shout out to all my sponsors. You know, Knockout Kitchen providing my meals, that's a family business. All the rest of the guys, there's too many to name there. But I'm going to create history on the 4th, become the first type 1 diabetic champion. And if there's any other big companies out there, you know, get in touch with me.
Fighting for your first title on pay-per-view on Lounges TV, so if people can't get down there, can't get tickets from yourself, that is a huge night of boxing. You've got your fight on there, possibly a couple maybe other titles soon to be announced, possibly. Great undercard, an amazing show. Message people that maybe haven't got tickets or are debating buying the pay-per-view.
Do you know what I've got to say is, do you know, I've got a massive family in Pakistan. Do you know, all the Pakistan, like I've been on the Asia media channels, you know, advertising this fight, and they'll be tuning in. Do you know, from Pakistan and India, I've got a massive population out there. They'll be intrigued, you know, to be watching this show. So I'm tagging them guys as well, you know, to buy, you know, the pay-per-view on the day. This fight is going to be massive. I was speaking to Uncle Pat, he said in 24 hours, you're my witness as well, Elena. How many views did the fight get? Was it 25,000 in the first 24 hours?
3,000, I think the next day I looked at it when I woke up and it was on 32.
Guys, their numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, do they? And it's going to be rocking. You know, for me, this fight is about promoting integration as well. You know, two nations where the big guys on the top don't like each other. Us people, we love each other. Do you know, we get along with one another. Like the Sikhs, for example, their history is in Pakistan, in Lahore. You know, like their holy places, and it's all love. you know, it's all respect and love, you know, from both nations. But obviously the people at the top, where they create the trouble, but it's no trouble on my side. It's just an opponent at the end of the day. You know, it's boxing, it's a sport. And let's all have a great night in Manchester and a peaceful one. And, you know, let's just have a fantastic night.
Thank you so much for chatting to us.
You know, always, Elena, you're part of the team as well, till the end. Remember, I helped you with your dissertation. Yeah. I'm part of your life now.
Perfect, thank you so much.
No, thank you guys. Big up Team Black Flash, you know, Oliver's gym, all my family, and everyone who's coming out, guys. Have an amazing night. And there's a show on the 30th of August. Everyone enjoy that show. And on 4th of October, contact me for your tickets as well. If you don't contact me, guys, and you can't make it in attendance, buy the VIP, is it VIP Lounge?
Pay-per-view on Lounges TV.
Pay-per-view on Lounges TV, guys. Buy the link and you don't want to miss the night on 4th of October.